Packers fans, welcome into the Green 19 podcast. My name is JR Radcliffe. I'm joined here by Tom Silverstein and Ryan Wood, reporters for PackersNews.com, and the Green Bay Packers are going to the playoffs. They defeat the Chicago Bears 17-9. That is a tremendous defensive performance for a team that defensively did not look like they had it together just 3 weeks ago, but two very good defensive performances against NFC North opponents. And now they're headed to play the Dallas Cowboys. Mike McCarthy in Jerry World. It's gonna be a fun time. You guys gonna get to say hi to Mike McCarthy? Are you?
Who knows him better than I do? I covered a few years, but no one's going to be talking about that this week, right? That's a storyline. That's boring. Mike McCarthy versus the Packers.
Yeah, thank God they've already done it once. So
they got it out of the way. They got it out of the way.
Some of that out of
That's a great point, Spoon.
But, some of the Dallas, Green Bay playoff games. That's stuff of lore.
Yeah.
How about Dak Prescott versus Jordan Love, huh? Number 1 and number 2 this season in the NFL in touchdown passes.
It's true. Not something I personally saw coming.
Nope.
Not something anyone saw coming. To start with, I guess we can start with Dallas and then kind of move our way backward. Obviously, we have a lot to talk about in this Chicago game. But we'll start with Dallas as an opponent. On paper, I think it's probably the toughest opponent in the NFC for sure. They have a lot of quality wins, not very many real puzzling losses. They have a week 3 setback against Arizona that honestly is probably by far the worst one they've got. So Ryan, I mean, there's playmakers all over the place. There's Dak Prescott, Micah Parsons might be the defensive player of the year, or at least in the running. They obviously have CeeDee Lamb, who's one of the best receivers in football. Like, honestly, it seems like they're really going in as David versus Goliath. I don't know if that's how you look at it, but I guess I'd be curious. Do you think what assets do they have that's going to work to their advantage in this playoff game?
Well, what strikes me is the dichotomy between where these two teams are going into this matchup. I mean, you've got a Packers. They were smoking victory cigars in the locker room today.
It was smoky.
You know, it smelled nice.
Yeah.
Getting to the playoffs with this team, it's a huge deal. I mean, there's a sense of, this is special, and Matt LaFleur said it himself. Just being here is special. Dallas doesn't feel that way.
No,
it's the exact opposite. They are not getting to the playoffs. That's not the thing this season. They better win. They better win some games in January. So the Packers are coming in as the big underdog. They're the 7 and Dallas is the 2, and it's a big difference than if they'd gone into Detroit next week against the Lions team that doesn't look like it's going to have Sam Laporta. I mean, that's a big difference. Mm-hmm. But there's something to be said, I guess. I mean, if you're looking for positives in this matchup, that the Packers are playing with house money. Dallas is not. If Mike McCarthy doesn't win this game, if he doesn't win next week, he might not be their coach next year. And that's the type of pressure that Dallas is under. So all the pressure's on one side in this one.
What do you think, Tom? They've been to Dallas a couple times in the postseason in recent memory. Obviously, the Super Bowl was a good one that had nothing to do with the Cowboys. But then in 2016, early part of 2017, Mason Crosby hits that big game winner, the pass to Jared Cook on the sideline. They knock off the top-seeded Cowboys. This would be comparable as an upset, I think, even though Dallas isn't the top seed. Do you think they have a puncher's chance?
They got a chance. I wouldn't put it past them. I think they're going to have to play the offensive game of their lives.
Mm-hmm.
You know? I don't think they can stop the Dallas offense. I just don't think they can. And, you know, the Packers have done well enough to win these last 2 games, but, you know, let's face it, they faced Jaren Hall and Nick Mullins. And I like Justin Fields, but he's a little overmatched because of the offensive line they had. They had injuries on there. I don't think Packers have faced a guy this good since maybe Justin Herbert.
And,
you know, that didn't go so well. And you know, you can win any type of game, and I agree. The Cowboys are going to be really uptight. And I think the Packers will be very loose. But Dallas's defenses can also be very good. Mm-hmm. You know, their secondary can be really good, and they can cause a lot of problems. You know, Deron Bland is a pick 6 waiting to happen.
Yeah.
And so, you know, Jordan Love hasn't had something like that happen to him. You know, it'll be a good test of, you know, how tough they are, and we'll see where they're at.
Yeah, Jordan Love with a turnover against the Bears. It was the first time in a long time. It was a fumble. It wasn't even an interception.
Yeah.
He's really done a good job of protecting the football, and we'll obviously talk more about him. One thing the defense will have to do is get pressure on Dak Prescott. That kind of goes without saying. They finally did that in this game against the Bears. They get 5 sacks, a lot of different guys getting to the quarterback, a lot of young guys getting to the quarterback. We're going to talk more about the rookies, but just in general, something has changed defensively that has allowed them to get after the quarterback the last 2 weeks. I mean, I still scratch my head at Tommy DeVito, of all people, not getting sacked. We're running all over him while everyone else is sacking him, and then the Packers can't get to him, but they've done something. Ryan, do you think it's scheming? Do you think it's players? What would you attribute this to? Because it's a completely different defense.
I think it's just who they are. I got a lot of thoughts on this defense, probably more thoughts than I've had after any game this season. But the predominant thought watching them play today was even the way in which they were rushing and sacking Justin Fields. They were following and executing the game plan maybe better than they have all season. I mean, you look at Devontae White, look at Kenny Clark's sack, and you look at them have free paths to Justin Fields and then stop and not take the shot, which is every defensive lineman's dream, right? You want to smash the quarterback. That's why you play defensive line. It's a crappy position to play other than, hey, you get to smash the quarterback. They had those opportunities, but they stopped. Mm-hmm. Why? Because it's Justin Fields. And you can't just go full bore into Justin Fields. You have to break down. And Kenny Clark put it perfectly. He's like, in my head, I'm like, you don't have to hit him hard. Don't hit him. Just get him down on the ground. Just do what it takes to get him down. And that's what they did. This is as good as they followed that plan, the plan that they put in place during the week, and they went out and executed it all season. I don't know why they can sack Justin Fields 5 times while holding Justin Fields to 3 yards per carry, but they can't sack Tommy DeVito. But that's who they've been. I mean, look at the best games they've had defensively this season. In Detroit against Jared Goff and a really good Lions offense. Patrick Mahomes at home against Kansas City. And then they make Baker Mayfield look like Tom Brady and give a perfect passer rating inside Lambeau Field. So for that reason, I'm wondering, like, is it a good thing that they're playing a really good Cowboys offense with Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb? Like, they've played their best against the best opponents, and they played their worst against the worst. So I don't know. Maybe there's something to that. I don't know. I don't know what this defense, but I know this. Season on the line last 2 weeks, 19 combined points. Under 20 points in 2 games in a row. They're carrying some momentum into the playoffs. It could all end next week. No idea, but they are carrying that momentum.
3 field goals against the Bears, Cairo Santos, but no touchdowns. Spoon, I'm probably putting the cart before the horse here because there's a lot left to talk about, but at some point it's going to come back to Joe Barry, and has he done enough? Because the Packers got into the playoffs with 2, like Ryan just said, 2 pretty good defensive performances. Is it enough that maybe he is back next year?
I don't think so. But, what's been different is, Barry played very scared when he lost Alexander and then didn't have Stokes. And he was playing with Valentine. And I think he kind of underestimated what they could give him. Then Savage got hurt, and he felt like, I think he just felt scared. Like he saw all these deep balls going over their heads. And so, he went and played all this safe zone and all this stuff. And now you see Quay Walker, blitzing. You see Devondre Campbell blitzing. You see them being far more aggressive with the receivers at the line. They're still playing some zone, but, he's got Jair Alexander and Carrington Valentine right now. 2 guys, really quick, really good at the line of scrimmage. He's got to be aggressive. There's, it's completely foreign to him to play that style. He believes, we're never going to give up a ball over their heads. And for the season, they had only given up like 4 passes of 40 yards or more. But you can't play like that. You just can't. Against some of these teams, they'll just chew you up. I mean, Love chewed up Chicago's zone.
Yeah.
They kept trying to play zone on him, and he was just eating them up. And you just can't play like that. So not unless you have like the 49ers defensive front,
right?
Then you can do it.
Was Jair Alexander even targeted other than that end zone?
I don't think he was.
I remember the one in the end zone, but I can't remember him getting targeted other than that. Maybe there was 1 or 2 that I'm missing.
Not much. Yeah, and he didn't really follow DJ Moore. He did at times, like there were a couple times he did, they just switched up a lot on DJ Moore, which I thought was good. That was smart. And you can't play man to man every single time. Everybody wants them to play man to man every down. You can't do that. You got to switch up. But you have to give at least the illusion that you're going to be blitzing or you're going to bring some guys at them.
Here's the thing I heard a lot in the locker room today is we had a good plan. And then they followed the plan probably as well, if not better than they have all season. But you heard that a lot. What they wanted to do was make Mitch play quarterback. No, it was make Justin Fields play quarterback. But it reminded me a lot of Tramon Williams saying we want to make Mitch play quarterback. And that's basically what Quay Walker said. And you want to talk about follow the plan. His sack, he was a QB spy, took 4 seconds. 4 seconds he hung at the line of scrimmage. And it wasn't until Justin Fields spun out of Preston Smith's sack that Quay Walker decided, okay, I'm going to go get him now. 4 seconds. That's how you play QB spy. That's what you have to do. But Quay Walker said, we know him pretty well. We know that if the first read's not there, he's taken off. And you got to keep him in the pocket. You've got to contain. They wanted Justin Fields to beat them with his arm, not his legs. And for a half, he looked pretty good. He was 8 of 9 in the first half, 110 passer rating, but they stuck with that plan. And in the second half, Justin Fields was 3 of 7. He was missing open touchdowns. Carrington Valentine should have had the pick on one. That should have been an easy touchdown. Carrington Valentine was beat. The ball was way off. Over the 4 quarters, they believed Justin Fields could not beat him with their arm, and he didn't. You saw him fade as a passer in the second half. They followed the plan throughout, even when Justin Fields was kind of lighting them up in the first half, and that's what you're going to have to do. It's having a plan and then executing it. We haven't seen that much this season, but they did it today.
Justin Fields had one flash throw that I can remember across the middle to Cole Kmet down the field. That was the one time I think he really hit on a fairly long ball or medium ball, whatever you want to call it. So part of that was guys in his face all day. Lucas Van Ness in the first quarter. Carl Brooks had a really good game, and this is leading me into talking more about just the rookie class in general, this class of 2023. Jaden Reed, of course, had a 59-yard pass play after the Bears gotten back within 5 points that completely flipped the field, completely stole the momentum that they'd lost. He finishes with 112 yards. Dontavian Wicks has 2 touchdowns. Tucker Kraft has 3 catches for 31 yards. Bo Melton, I don't think he doesn't count as a rookie, but he also had another really good day. Not even talking about Jordan Love yet. So crazy. What the 2023 class, we've talked about it before, but it feels like I don't know if they can even do it. They can even do better than that. Day 3 alone is a great showing for them. So, Tom, I know you were talking a little bit about the rookies when you were writing and just kind of what observations you have. I mean, you have to have a special rookie class to be this young and make the playoffs. Yeah. And that's exactly what they have.
Here's a trivia question. Can you name the one guy who didn't make the roster?
I can.
Can you?
He was a practice squad.
Lou Nichols.
Update. No, wait. Are you talking about practice squad 2?
Yeah. No, I'm talking about, nobody
okay.
the club.
Yeah.
Lou Nichols.
I was thinking Grant DeBose, but yeah.
And even he is on Philadelphia's practice squad, so even the guys they didn't keep, is still in the NFL. And what, they had 12 selections last year? Or
13. 13, yeah.
And so that's pretty amazing. They had, 16, I think, guys who were available today and maybe played 14 rookies, I think. And, almost to a person, they contributed, I mean, every single point was scored by a rookie.
Yeah.
And, the defense, Carrington Valentine, I mean, he continues to do that. Yeah, Carl Brooks, you brought up. Lucas Van Ness had both the sack. 2 rookies had the sacks. They have brought the team up. So from what they had last year, even forget the quarterback, they've kind of raised the whole level, the foundation of the team, so that they're not relying on a bunch of old guys, Adrian Amos's type guys. They've got athletic guys who are, I don't know how they keep getting better, because they're supposed to be getting worse as the season goes on, because rookies kind of hit that wall.
Sure.
And they've been banged up. Wicks has been hurt. Reed's hurt almost every week.
Musgrave, obviously.
And Musgrave, and somehow they just keep powering through. So this has chance to be, I'm not saying it's the Lombardi draft that had 5 Hall of Famers in it, but it's I was trying to think back and compare a draft since I've been covering a team where more rookies have had an impact, and I can't remember one.
Well, here's the thing. Everyone knows about Jaden Reed, right? He has more catches and yards than Sterling Sharp in 1988, more touchdowns than James Lawson as a rookie. Finest rookie season for a rookie receiver in Packers history. Everyone knows about Dontavian Wicks because a fifth-round pick doing that. He had a better season than Devontae Adams' rookie year. That's impressive. Everyone knows about Carrington Valentine because it's just not common that you see a seventh-round rookie lining up at corner as a starter and playing all the snaps week after week. But what about Lucas Van Ness? He's the first-round pick that no one talks about, and all he's done is have a better rookie season than Rashawn Gary's rookie season. Carl Brooks, he's the sixth-round pick. He has 4 sacks and 4 quarterback hits this year. Kenny Clark as a rookie, 0 sacks, 4 quarterback hits. You could say he's had a better rookie season than Kenny Clark. It's up and down the board. It's the guys. It's not the Luke Musgrave, the Tucker Kraft, the guys that you know. It's the guys that you don't even talk about. It's like, oh gosh, comparably, they're having better rookie seasons than guys that are established in Packers history and on this roster.
Yeah, there isn't a guy you could say. Even Colby Wooden had a big stop. I forgot, was that maybe against Carolina? Had a tackle for loss. Was it on 4th down, I think, maybe, or 3rd down? Benny Sapp has had a couple of really nice tackles on special teams. Yeah. It's almost like whoever they put out there does something.
Malik Heath. What caught my eye on Malik Heath today, on the 33-yarder to Jaden Reed, Malik Heath was every bit as open. Jordan Love could have thrown it to him. Mm-hmm. A young guy that wide open, especially an undrafted rookie, some guys might get frustrated they didn't get the ball. Very next play, they do a wide receiver screen to Dontavian Wicks, and who's the lead blocker that lays on a great block for 8 yards? It's Malik Heath. He does a bit of everything. Now, the one rookie that is not playing well, Anders Carlson, that's a problem at this point.
I still am. I feel like they are in denial about their long snapper.
Oh, really?
Okay. I really do. I mean, did you see where that snap was? Okay, he still has to hit that. But why are they putting up with having snaps that are off to the guy's hip, or high? Or I understand you're not going to be perfect, but man, they just have this tolerance and they seem to, I don't know, not correct it.
Yeah. I'm not discounting that. Anders Carlson's missed 5 extra points this season and 4 field goals inside 50 yards, which should be automatic in today's game. That's 9 kicks. That should be automatic. And you might miss 1 or 2 of those, right? Because no one's perfect, but 9.
It's a lot. He's a rookie. I mean, guys, he may be the guy, he may not be the guy. I don't know. I am surprised they don't kick away on some of the kickoffs. I can't believe that he can't kick it into the end zone. I just don't understand that.
Yeah.
They seem to be obsessed with kicking it short. Maybe he can't, but I've seen him kick it into the end zone. I've seen him kick it deep. I don't know. Maybe they could just be wrong on him. They could be wrong, but you don't know that. It's tough for rookies in the NFL. Yeah. In rookie kickers, it's very tough, but I don't know. Yeah. That could kill him.
Cowboys kicker Michael Aubrey was perfect coming into today and then missed 2 field goals today.
Did he?
From inside 40 yards. One was blocked and one hit off the upright. So
see, that's what happens.
Yes.
Everyone's human inside that helmet. You're not going to make every play. Okay, so Brandon Aubrey's I had him on fantasy football. I know the kind of season he's had. Number 1 kicker in fantasy.
And not a typical championship rookie kicker.
I appreciate it.
Older guy.
But yeah, you're gonna miss a couple kicks. It's just I guess what I'm wondering is at what point this becomes like. I think they need competition for him next year. He was inconsistent. He was inconsistent in college. The leg strength is there. He can hit it from 55 yards. That's why he got drafted. You see why he was drafted. But the inconsistency in college has now transferred to inconsistency in the NFL, and this is a playoff team. Not just a playoff team. This is a team that should be thinking of Super Bowl in the next 2 to 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't have inconsistency at kicker in those big games. Like today was, that 41-yard field goal he missed it cast a pall over this game. It was a one-score game in a game that the Packers were owning and dominating for a lot of the way. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know if we're being, too hard on him. I've seen some really bad kicking performances this year. I mean, Santos hit the goalpost and was lucky that it banked in, and he's a really good kicker. I don't know. I don't know what to think because he always comes back and then he hits.
Yeah.
So he misses something that doesn't affect him. His brother was kind of like this too. Really struggled in the early parts, and I don't know if it's a mental thing or what, but they're locked into him. They're not. I don't want to hear another word about Mason Crosby.
Yeah.
Mason Crosby can't hit from. I love Mason Crosby, but he's not going to hit a 50-yarder for you.
Right,
and Carlson at least has a chance of hitting a 50-yarder.
Well, when he comes back and hits, it's usually the hard ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'll miss the easy ones, but then 50 plus, he'll drain that.
Right. So, it's not a discussion of this year. You're right. They do have to bring a competition for him next year.
Circling back to the receivers, Wicks and Reed, of course, having such good days, and we found out coming into the day that Christian Watson wasn't going to be available. I know there was, some outside thought that he might be, and then they elevated Grant DuBose.
LaFleur admitted he lied about it.
Yeah.
It's the first coach I've ever heard admit that he lied.
Yeah, good for him. That's moralistic of him.
Yeah. And then Romeo Doubs goes, I think he might have had he had a couple targets. He obviously had one in the end zone that he nearly reeled in, which would have been just an incredible catch. But he ends up with no catches. The two guys last year, struggling is probably the wrong word because Watson's obviously been hurt. But they're overshadowed now by these other guys. I saw Christian Watson leave today, and I thought, man, now he's a completely different skill set from what they have. So I know they could still use him, but I don't know if they're going to be relying on him going forward because they've got all these other guys that they can throw the ball to. I don't know. Maybe that's unfair. You can tell me, Tom, if you think that's unfair.
He's still a special talent. I mean, every time he plays, he does something special. I mean, not every time, but his numbers are incredible. So when he plays, he's a special athlete, has special ability. You kind of have just forgotten about him because Jaden Reed's been so good and Wicks has been so good, and Kraft and Musgrave. So I think it's not a bad idea to, not push it and let him use the offseason to figure out what the hell's going on with his hamstrings.
Yeah.
Because, they can't go on like that forever. He needs to figure out, and they need to figure out how to get that straightened out. And they don't need him to go out in Dallas and tear his hamstring, and then it becomes a whole off-season thing where all he's doing is rehabbing,
What I do think the emergence of these young guys does is it puts, and this is just the way of the league, it puts Christian Watson in a figure it out or else situation. There's pressure. As specialists, I completely agree with you. No one gets hot like Christian Watson. When Christian Watson gets hot, it's like 4 touchdowns in 3 games, 8 touchdowns in 4. Like that's no one does that. But you can't be a key contributor in an NFL offense and play half the games. You just can't do it. And in this case, they have so many other options that if you're playing half the games, you get left behind. That's just the reality of this league. So if he can figure it out, can you imagine next year if they stay healthy? All these guys, I mean, my goodness, they didn't have Aaron Jones for several games. They still have questions at left tackle, and then the Christian Watson, Jaden Reed has had some injuries. Dontavian Wicks has. If these guys all stay healthy, it's a great problem for Matt LaFleur to figure that out. But yeah, and then long term, Romeo Doubs, where he fits in this offense, I think there's a role. He's got the strongest hands on the team. He has had the most clutch catches this season on the team. I think there's a role, but there's just more. There's more spark. There's more burst with a Jaden Reed, a Dontavian Wicks than what we've seen.
I think Wicks has probably surpassed him in the choice of Jordan Love when he's going to make a big play. I think Dobbs I like him in the red zone. You want to throw it to the red zone. People called that a drop on the blog today, and I didn't get a lot of opportunity to see it. I know he fell backwards.
It was a drop in my book. Yeah.
Yeah, because why? Because it hit the ground.
It wasn't. I even tweeted this yesterday. Drops are subjective, right? We're all going to grade them differently. Yeah. I'm a harsh drops grader because these are professional receivers, and if it hits your two hands and is not ripped out, not taken from you, you're paid to catch the ball, even if it's contested, even if it's tough. You're paid to catch the ball, and it was not taken out. It would have been a great catch, a really difficult catch. It was contested. Great play by Jordan Love, by the way. But he went up and got it. It was in his hands, didn't complete the catch. So I called it a drop. The thing is with Romeo Doubs, if he's like your fourth receiver,
that's incredible.
That's deep because he's an NFL player. He is absolutely an NFL receiver, and he gives you things that even in this offense are at the top of the chart. So that just to me shows how deep this receiving core is.
Yeah, I think it does also. I think there is a case to be made that, Watson is still more special than those guys.
For sure.
Athletic.
Yeah.
And, there'll be a time when things catches up a little bit, corners get to know who these guys are. And Watson, you can know him, but you can't ever run with him. You just can't. So, they're going to have to continue to fish for wide receivers, I think. I wouldn't stop just because of the group that they have. I would still continue to look. If there's, some stud and you're sitting there at number 20, whatever they're going to be, and he's there, and there's nobody else that you like, I wouldn't hesitate to take another wide receiver. I don't think you can ever have too many.
I was trying to think of a way to ask about Jordan Love's performance, and it strikes me hearing us talk about the receivers, the rookie receivers. This season could not have happened with Aaron Rodgers, and it isn't just because Aaron Rodgers is, I think, a lesser quarterback than Jordan Love, maybe, question mark. It's that he would have so little tolerance for a young player making mistakes.
Yep.
You wouldn't have, I don't think, these guys growing over the course of 16, 17 games. You would have guys that are still taking their lumps and trying to keep their head down and doing what they can. I think it's just a different vibe. I mean, Ryan, you can tell me how the vibe is, even from your perspective, an Aaron Rodgers team, now that we've seen a full season with Jordan Love. It seems to me that it's pretty different. I wasn't here last year, but maybe you can shed light on that. It certainly seems to be translating on the field.
Yeah, Jason Vrabel, the receivers coach, has said multiple times that Jordan Love will take these young guys aside after mistakes on the practice field and pick them up. That wasn't happening with the guy before. I mean, he makes me wonder if Jordan Love was the quarterback last year and had that same treatment and temperament with Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs. Here's the way that I think, though, is best to describe Jordan Love right now. And there's a lot, but what you said about Justin Fields, one flash throw. My goodness, how many flash throws did Jordan Love have tonight?
Crazy.
And so many of them on third down. He annihilated this Bears defense, which had 16 interceptions the last 6 games. I mean, the Bears still suck, okay, but not that defense. That defense has been playing really, really well. 16 interceptions last 6 games. He killed them on third down. Both his touchdown passes, third down. He had more touchdowns than incompletions on third down. On the season, in 2 games against the Bears on third and fourth down, 5 touchdown passes, 15 of 18. So 5 touchdown passes, 3 incompletions in 2 games on third and fourth down, 146 passer rating. That's a franchise quarterback. And I thought, just to me, I thought this was the best game that Jordan Love's played this season, 84% completion percentage. And this was the first time that we saw, okay, there's another gear here. There's another, and we knew that he was a franchise quarterback. It's something to plateau it as he has and put it together for multiple games in a row at a high level, at a franchise quarterback level. This was something else because you look at the touchdown that Bo Melton dropped, right? How many quarterbacks even think of that throwing window, let alone throw an ace pass? You think of rolling right, throwing across his body to the middle of the field to Romeo Doubs for what should have been another touchdown. That was Aaron Rodgers at his highest. Aaron Rodgers made that play routinely. This is the first time we've seen Jordan Love kind of make that kind of play. If he can do this consistently, that's another gear.
Yeah, I even think of an even simpler throw. There's 6:08 left, and Chicago punts. And I look at you and said, why are they punting? Because they're not going to get the ball back. And you're like, 6:08, it is a lot of time. You were right. There's a lot of time left. They didn't get the ball back. 3rd and 3 on the 13, and they were that's a rattling throw for a rookie or first-year starting quarterback. And he finds Jaden Reed for a 15-yard pickup, and they're off to the races. And Aaron Jones kind of takes care of the rest.
Completions, and then he hit Kraft on another 15-yarder that kept the clock going too.
Sorry, go ahead.
No,
here's another one. 59 yards to Jaden Reed, who, according to Matt LaFleur, was not even part of the progression.
Yeah.
Jordan Love shouldn't even be looking at Jaden Reed, but he had nowhere else, and he hits him on a dart 20 yards down past the line of scrimmage, down the left sideline for 59 yards.
It's really funny on that route because I was watching it. I'm like, holy crap, Bo Melton is wide. I'm deep, and I'm like, oh boy, he blew that one. And then on next thing you know, you see Jaden Reed. And I guess that was a good choice too. To get back to what you were saying about the Rodgers thing, Rodgers didn't have these guys out at his practice facility, during the summer throwing. I mean, that must have helped Jaden Reed, Wicks. They were both out there. He meets with them every Monday with the receivers, apparently, according to Bo Melton. He doesn't hold grudges. He throws to who's open. Rodgers, how many times did we see over the years that, he was throwing to Devontae Adams, or he didn't like to throw over the middle because there's a chance the ball might get tipped and it'd be an interception, and he hated to throw an interception. I just like seeing a guy play quarterback, just play it, and not any of the mind games and all that other stuff, and expect guys to run routes that they've never run before. But in his head, they're supposed to, make this move because they should know to do that.
And oh, by the way, it turns out that you can throw the ball over the middle and not throw picks.
Yeah, I was just going to say
32 touchdowns, 11 interceptions in Jordan Love's first season as starter in 17 games. 28-13 in 2008 for Aaron Rodgers. Over 4,000 passing yards. Now, of course, he needed the extra game to get there. Second in the league in touchdown passes. 96.08 final passer rating this season. 93.8 for Aaron Rodgers in 2008.
18 TDs and 1 interception his last 8 games.
Yeah. Jordan Love had a better 2023 than Aaron Rodgers had 2008. 9 wins, a .500 record in the playoffs. Things that didn't happen in 2008. There's no debate there. And there's also
Rodgers had Greg Jennings.
Yeah.
He had Donald Driver. He had Michael Finley. He had James Jones at that point, I think.
2008 he did. And James Jones was a pretty good rookie that year too. He was a good red zone threat. I don't know what else you can say about Jordan Love. He's ascended to this point, and this is a team now that should be thinking Super Bowl in the next few years. That's where they are at with this quarterback.
Miles ahead of the 2022 Aaron Rodgers, which is probably his worst season, but they were in this very same boat, 8-8, coming home to face the Lions, and playoffs on the line, and they didn't get it. And today they did. Now there is one thing with Jordan Love, and I want to talk about the weirdness at the end of the first half, and in this Chicago game. It's not even just Jordan Love, I suppose. Maybe it was on Dontavian Wicks for catching the ball, but the Packers missed a chance to kick a field goal, and I don't even know really what happened, what they were thinking, but instead of lining up for the field goal or taking a shot at the end zone with what time was left with no timeouts, they throw to the sideline. Dontavian Wicks is moving backwards when he's contacted. I think it was Tyreek Stevenson who was there, pushes him out of bounds. Clock continues to run. Ref was right on it, and time expires, and they don't get a shot at what would have been a chip shot field goal. So maybe it's on Anders Carlson because there's a little lack of trust there. Maybe it's on
no. I think what happened was, from what I saw was, so the way they read it is, okay, if the corner's going to just give up that route, play back, give up the route, take it, get 5 more yards, run the clock down. They wanted to get the clock down to as far to 0. But if that guy is playing up, then you throw it into the stands, and then go and kick the field goal. Tyreek Stevenson, I think, was the corner, played it halfway. So he was like, okay, I may came out, I may not. It was a really nice play on his part to say, all right, I may give it to you, I may not. And Love kind of misread it and then decided to throw it. And Stevenson broke on it. And then there you go. That's what happened. I think what Jordan Love will learn from that is if there's any question that guy is going to break on it, throw it into the stands, and live another day. And he made the mistake of, okay, he's halfway. I'll take the chance.
I put it squarely on Matt LaFleur. And let's be very clear here. Matt LaFleur is not known for clock mismanagement. He usually does a pretty good job. The last time I can really think that Matt LaFleur might have done some questionable managing was the 2020 NFC Championship game, taking the field goal. Since then, he's pretty good. This was a big gaffe because as soon as Tucker Kraft doesn't step out of bounds, you're playing for a field goal. And a field goal would have been huge. It's a 7-6 game. You get the ball to start the third quarter, 10-6 getting the ball. It's different because now you got a chance to go and make it a 2-possession game without the Bears getting the ball back. You take the 3 points. You don't call your last time out with 16 seconds left at the 22-yard line. It's different if you're at the 8, but not from the 22, and take a shot into the end zone with no timeouts left, no way to stop the clock. I do wonder if Matt LaFleur's thinking was 16 seconds left, even if it's caught in bounds, is enough time to stop the clock but what happened on that penultimate play? They take the shot to the end zone. It should have been picked.
Yeah. And that Heath who broke it up?
Yeah. Because taking a shot from the 22, you're outside the red zone. That's a shot. What should have happened, I think, is very clear. Is as soon as Tucker Kraft does, you got to burn that timeout. You're off script now with the clock. You don't stop it at 16 seconds. You let it go all the way down to 4. You take your 3 points. You go to the locker room, getting the ball to start the third quarter with momentum. I was stunned that he stopped the clock with 16 seconds.
Yeah, and I think what they should have done, okay, even after they took the shot that into the end zone, was, okay, you don't want to give Chicago 8 seconds or whatever, so drop Love back and tell him to throw it out of the back of the end zone and run off, 6 seconds or something like that. Just, tell him, we're just trying to burn clock here. That's it.
But why not give Chicago 8 seconds in that situation? They're not going to do anything with it. Your defense is playing well. They're probably going to just kneel the ball and take it into the half. They're not going to do anything.
He doesn't trust Joe Barry.
Maybe. But when he stopped it with 16 seconds, I'm like, what?
It wasn't not a good look. You can't do that in the playoffs, that's for sure.
I do feel like the Packers played much better than 17-9 illustrates. They got a couple reviews as well. There's the Bo Melton touchdown where he rolls kind of over the end line, and he didn't quite have possession, but that was kind of bang bang. They originally said incomplete, then they said touchdown, then went back.
Was weird.
It was weird.
That was like they called touchdown so that replay could look at it.
I think that's exactly what happened.
Because that back judge ruled incomplete.
Yeah.
I was watching it.
He said was right there.
I did not see a single guy raise his hands for touchdown.
But then the fans were complaining about it, and they're like, oh, maybe we should just call a touchdown, and then we can get an auto review.
Yeah, I think that's what they do.
I'd like to see those plays called for the auto review if it's close more often. I thought that's playing it right, because then you're okay, it's close. We don't really know.
Yeah.
So we're just going to auto review it.
Yeah.
Right?
Any scoring play, you pretty much should just give it.
Yeah.
I guess.
Auto review.
What they were doing.
I wonder if they could work in something about scoring play or presumed scoring play. So if it's ruled incomplete, you can also review that without costing somebody a touchdown if it's a scoring play. I don't know if that's possible or not. They also the Packers had just used a challenge flag on a review on a DJ Moore catch, which would have made it 4th down, led to a punt. I thought it was going to be ruled incomplete. It was call stands, so not that they had incontrovertible evidence, and then the Bears get a field goal out of it. So they did have a couple things go against them. You had the Anders Carlson missed field goal. You had the fumble. I mean, they should have scored quite a bit more, I think, than 17 points.
I think so. With all the yards they had, they should have.
Yeah. Well, I also wonder if your best defense sometimes is keeping that quarterback off the field. And if I'm Matt LaFleur, the thing I am the most concerned about going into this game is Justin Fields taking the game over with his legs, right? Especially with your defense. How do you prevent that from happening? You kind of go ball control. And from the efficiency of their passing game and Aaron Jones going over 100 yards again on 22 carries, they really controlled this clock. And it kept the scoring down. But, 41-yard field goal for Anders Carlson, 2 drop touchdowns. They had more opportunities.
It was odd that they only had, 2 possessions
in the first half.
In the first
Yeah.
half.
The third possession is the one that ends with the clock management. But yeah, that's almost 3 full possessions. That's it.
That's I couldn't really figure it out because I looked at the plays were even, the time of possession was even, but it was almost like, but Packers only had two
very
possessions. What's
deliberate
going on? And when you have Jordan Love and you have your offense is playing well, you got to have more possessions than that. You just have to. That's why the score was so low, I think.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, part of it too is just an effective running game. And you talked about Aaron Jones. That's 3 straight 100-yard rushing performances. He is obviously very healthy, running at full strength. Anytime they gave him the ball, I thought he was gonna find a hole. I mean, it's also a credit to the offensive line, who I think is playing really well. Zach Tom left the game and came back. He's been tremendous, I think, this year. So nice that he ended up not.
Sean Ryan keeps playing more.
I know.
Sure.
Speaking of a guy who can block
I'd like
in the
to
run.
see what the snap count was on that. It's getting closer to 50-50, isn't it?
It is.
I thought Aaron Jones was a really compelling post-game interview because he's obviously from Texas. It's not the Dallas area or anything, but he's going back to Dallas. He's had a lot of success in that building. Wasn't in the playoff game, but twice he's cleared 100 yards, like 107 and 4 touchdowns one time. He's got a little wave goodbye that I think people remember the picture of that. He also had a really good game against Dallas here at Green Bay last year. So, Ryan, I know you love Aaron Jones. What's not to love? He's going to be back next year. We talked about it. I don't know how they can afford to get rid of him. He's just so good when he's clicking.
Well, 29-year-old running backs aren't supposed to be doing this at the end of the season, and they're especially not supposed to be doing this when you're banged up all season. But it's very apparent that Aaron Jones has fresh legs after not playing a lot this season, and 3 straight games to close the year with 100 yards. And they're going to need that again in Dallas because what I just said, what's the best defense sometimes is keeping Dak Prescott on the sideline. Control that game. You want to win, you use Aaron Jones a lot, and he loves playing in Dallas. But big picture, Spoon, they need him. They need him back next year as a number 2 running back. I think I would love to see this Packers offense maybe get a bell cow guy. A guy that maybe is bigger build because A.J. Dillon's probably not going to be here, but a guy that's got that blend of size, speed, acceleration, and give Aaron Jones the ball 10 to 12 times a game, keep him fresh, keep him healthy, and I don't care if he's 29. There's an element to this offense that this offense needs.
It's important in many ways. I think he's a good fit for the Packers, and the Packers are a good fit for him. So somehow they got to figure that out financially. I mean, I hope they don't go to him and say minimum wage or else, because that would just be disrespectful. And it's not like the cap situation is that bad. They ought to give him a chance to earn stuff back on incentives. He's going to have to take some kind of a cut, but turn some of it into unlikely to be earned incentives because he doesn't have that many yards this year. It wouldn't be that hard to do. Right. It wouldn't count much against the cap to give him some big incentives. So kind of think that's what they'll do, but I would not give up on him. No way.
What's the number in your head for next year? Me and Pete Doherty were having this conversation. I think he's 12 is where he's scheduled to be. And I have a number in my head. I'm curious what you think.
I would want him down to at least half of that.
Yeah.
And then, give him a chance to get to 10 million with, 4 million in incentives. Of course, they'd have to be really high, but I think 5 or 6. You're going to be, assuming you're drafting a running back, and maybe you're taking them in the 4th round. You're not paying very much for a running back out of the draft.
I was thinking because I do think that there's production there in the offense, there's value. And he's so important in the locker room. He is the unquestioned leader in that offense in the locker room. $5 million pay cut last year, 16 to 11. $5 million this year. I'd give him $7 million.
All right. What did we miss? What haven't we discussed? I'll start with you, Ryan. If there's something that jumps to mind, some storyline that we haven't touched upon, or some matchup you're interested in looking ahead to Dallas.
No, I think we've hit everything. Jordan Love. Who the heck saw this coming? I entered the season not knowing, right? And I was very meticulous in okay, there's going to be overreactions to the first half of the year. Don't overreact. One way or the other, don't overreact. It looked bad in October. I mean, it looked bad. I didn't see this coming. He's playing right now like he's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. And he's been doing it for over 2 months now.
Yeah, second half of the year, you'd have to put him in the top, for sure, top 3, 5.
Yeah.
Like
and it's not a short stint anymore. But he's been this for weeks. He just keeps doing it. I don't know.
I do want to say one thing about his performance, and I think this is what's going to be important moving forward, is I think, I don't know who the mastermind is. I assume it's LaFleur, but it could be someone else. But they give him, they have really focused on giving him some good options when there's pressure to get the ball out of his hand and just, get it somewhere where they're going to get positive yards. Whereas, Rodgers would hold it, and then, hope that he could get something down the field,
Right.
which is okay when you're a guy who, with that kind of ability. But they have built in some stuff for LaFleur, and this was especially true against the Vikings. They're bringing all those guys up, and they always had something for him to check down to if he needed to. And you saw it more today. He threw just some nice little passes down the middle to get him, like 6, 8 yards to Aaron Jones or Kraft or whoever. And so I give them a lot of credit for doing that. Down the road, he'll have to, probably do more stuff, be more creative. He'll face some tougher defenses. But yeah, they've got a nice little thing going.
Let's go through real quick what we know he does well, because it's 17 games now, right? He is money on third down. He's been good much of the season on third and fourth down, which for a young quarterback is impressive. He's indiscriminate on who he throws the ball to. He's very in tune with Matt LaFleur's playbook, and when you have chemistry between the head coach and offensive play caller and the quarterback like this, you can have some special things happen on offense, and that's very apparent. I think you were the one in Detroit that said he's got a wicked intermediate game, and we saw that again today, right? With some of the Romeo Dobbs, the Bo Melton, some of those darts. The one issue that is he's still catching up on is throwing deep, but I do think that we've seen that over the last month maybe start to get better. It has improved, certainly from where it was in October, where he couldn't hit the broadside of a barn deep, right? It's gotten better. I do think that can continue to get better. And if he starts hitting 40-yard verticals down the sideline and seam, watch out, because that's when it's scary.
The thing, he does have to improve on this. I mean, he's got to improve his footwork. So he threw that touchdown to Wicks, I think it was, off his back foot.
Yeah.
How that got through, I don't know. I mean, that was wasn't that like a knock? And then there was another one,
right, going the other way,
a corner route going the other way, right? And I'm just thinking to myself, what's wrong? Because those are like balls he whips.
Yeah.
You can get away with that. You can get away with that like 20% of the game, but you can't get away with it 100%. And so they're going to have to continue to work on that. At some point, teams will start to realize, okay, he's going to just chuck it up there. We're going to figure out a way to take advantage of it.
I was sitting next to JR on the one going the other way. I don't know if that was Wicks too. I forget who that was too. I thought
it was going to Kraft though, right?
Yeah. And you're like, oh, what was that? He said the same. What was that? I'm just like, he'll do that sometimes. Usually works out. I mean, it looks like a wounded duck. It's almost like a Peyton Manning ball. You know how Peyton Manning would throw some of those wounded ducks that are just perfect?
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
It could only go into one spot.
Yeah, and he puts it there.
Yeah. And then you see him throw this dart, right on Bo Melton's hands. Yeah. And you're like, well, he didn't do that last time, but it's footwork, and he'll get better at that.
The other thing that he's really improved throughout the season is his command at the line of scrimmage. And I think that you've seen Matt LaFleur give him more and more of that autonomy to get him in and out. And Matt LaFleur's talked about it. And that's also a really good thing for a starting quarterback in this league is to be able to make strides there before the snap.
I think the fumble was I think the receivers didn't see his check.
Yeah, I think it was Melton. Somebody missed the hot route.
Because he turned left and all 3 guys were going out.
Yeah.
And then he was like, I better run. Yeah. So, and it actually was a nice play on his part to, if he had just gone out of bounds, just don't cut it back. That's what he did the last time when he fumbled.
Yeah.
Remember? He tried to cut it back and then the guy just stripped it
in
out
New York. Yeah.
So.
Stay tuned to this feed for the After Further Review podcast from Eric Baranchik and Pete Doherty. That'll be landing on Tuesday morning. We'll be back Thursday to discuss more about this Dallas Cowboys matchup, and then we're going to be in Dallas. So hopefully there'll be lots for you to consume at PackersNews.com. Again, for Ryan Wood and Tom Silverstein, my name is JR Radcliffe. Thanks for tuning in to this edition of the Green 19 podcast. We'll talk to you again very soon. Bye-bye.